being, we're live. It is the Modern File Scrum. It's a Wednesday. We have Sam and Mariam and Nico. This morning, I was emailing more people. There are more updates have gone through about the when people join projects. So I've been emailing those. I also went through and I kind of adjusted who was the project owner for a number of projects. To kind of make sure that the emails are going to the right person. Yeah, looking forward to getting some of those changes out that we discussed for that. Then I was blogging. I got permission to blog on the private project that I'm doing, so I'm starting to blog about, in general terms, about the code base there, and that's fun. Fix some issues, and I've started adding like Cucumber.js to the project to try and have like the high-level descriptions, and that's. I mean, I'm kind of like nervous because, you know, I'm sort of promoting it as this will make it easier for us to do testing, but of course, particularly a Cucumber in Node projects can be like then a massive time sink. So anyway, fingers crossed. Yeah, other things going on, I guess. I managed to get the MediaWiki deployed to the Docker VM via the Docker file, so that's good. So that's removed a block there. We're still blocked on the Paranauts Docker file for Jitsi. That's a really confusing situation with lots of competing standards. And yes, I'm. So those are the kind of the blockers coming up. We've got the marketing meeting that I'm supposed to be doing this. We've got Nico with headphones on and headphones off, both at the same time. It's like it's your twin. I'm sorry. Stay on target. Stay on target. I'm running this agile workshop this afternoon. So yeah, I won't be able to do the Kempbeck Scrum. If Nico, if you can take that for me, that'd be fantastic. No problem if you're not available.
Yeah, I think that I will be able.
Good stuff. I think that's me then. Nico, you were in first. How are things going with you?
Fine. I had to turn off my computer because it was dying, so that is why I switched. Yeah, to my phone. Good. I think that I made a good progress with the load readmes. So the only thing that we need to check now is the. I need to create the Cucumber tests, but no, they are the integration. No, the other ones, the acceptance tests.
Right.
Yeah. For that, I've been using VCR. You said that that was kind of wrong. So. I mean, not wrong, but you're trying to discourage the usage of
VCR with the R spec. But yeah, we can look at that. We can look at that
after the Scrum. Yeah, perfect, cool.
Great stuff. So no other blockers for you.
No other blockers. No, I'm just working on that. And I will do the deploy to staging after the last dependable upgrade. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, because you fixed that issue with the weird failure. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good show. Excellent. Thanks, Nico. Mariam, how are things going with you?
I was working on the feature for the notification. I managed to write the Cucumber test first. So yeah, I don't have any blockers for now.
Okay, great. Good show. All right. Well, that's all.
The show that you are doing is like kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I'm always checking your pull request, Mariam, because I'm saying, okay, I need to learn how to create the features that fast. So awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Totally agree. Yeah, Mariam, you're doing an amazing job. I also wanted to. Federico's not here. I think it's interesting. His suggestion of alerting project owners to people joining, I think, is a great one. And I think you working on it is fantastic, Mariam, and the work that you're doing is fantastic. And then also, it's raising issues for us as a community about how we manage and coordinate and keep things up to date, and yeah, so it's great. It's all great stuff.
Yeah, I just have to work on my DevOps skills because
and here's the place. There's so much DevOps stuff to do. There's plenty of opportunity to practice all the DevOps things. So yeah, so that's our Scrum. We've done the Scrum. We're now into the after Scrum. I guess two other random things I'll just mention is one, I finally managed to get my Hawaii Pacific University email working again, and started to get automated emails going out for distributing the textbook that's associated with the course, the online agile development using Ruby on Rails. Amanda's going to be in London in May. It is May, and so potentially we're going to be meeting up and talking about the second edition of that book.
Nice.
The other thing, then I've forgotten, but that's so that I will ignore it and move on to is there. Yeah, so we've got various things going on in the website one world of website one. That was like a little minor issue. We pushed out some content update from Federico. That's caused some like coloration issues there.
Yeah, the highlight of some of the.
It'd be nice if we could automate that, but that's sort of a trivial thing. If we go to website one, let's look at website one. So yeah, I guess the key thing. So assuming, Mariam, that you're not blocked and you're happy carrying on working on those things, I guess is this one actually. Let's get this merged in actually. This is yeah, Nico, you made the fix, and then so this is the one that actually just puts the email instead of the person's name, because we don't always have their name. So I think this one really needs to go out like as soon as possible. So I'm gonna merge that right now, just so that because that like improves the email stuff that's going out. And then fantastic. So Mariam, you started working on this one here, which we definitely, I've been emailing the individual project creators saying, this will come out. Okay, so this looks fantastic. What I would do here is, I would just change this link here to be the link that takes them straight to the place where they can do the edit. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I don't know what's used because you have.
But you don't need to know the username, because if you go to like, oh God, why does Chrome keep doing that?
If you are already logged in, I think you are.
Yeah, it's like already like there. If I go to my account and I go on edit, why did that screw up? I think if you click on edit, it goes here. Like that link there should like take here. See what I would do, like even it would say like you could I would have it like, so please log in at av.org and go to your profile page and edit. Can I mention here? Yeah, site receive emails to be unchecked if you are already logged in. Go directly to here. So something like that. Like I suspect that if we say this, then a lot of people are going to go there, and they may have trouble finding their what to do. Like almost we need to kind of mention that word. Anyway, it may seem like a trivial thing.
Yeah.
That's just my suggested text that can be played around with, obviously. Yeah, fantastic. So this, you've got work in progress. Is this almost ready to go, or what else needs to be done?
I think we just have to fix to use the Boolean value that is in the data model.
Right.
To check. That's all.
Yes. Right. Of course. Excellent. Which we were discussing yesterday. Fantastic. So I can put my thumbs up in real time. There. Okay, that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you. I guess I will, just before going into Nico's thing where we might have a discussion about VCR, I just want to see what Praveen is saying here. Okay. What else is there? Resume links. Okay, so that's thing. So this is the thing here. So Praveen is now like potentially going to use that for his thing and refactor it. So there's kind of, we want to be careful. Has he now done it? He's still got the thing there. Okay. So yeah, we just need to be careful about merging your thing and Praveen's thing. Mariam, there. I guess the thing we should say to there is social signups like GitHub. I think for Praveen we could say no. I guess. Oh, he's got the question of like the route that people take. Praveen, I guess supporting social signups is another ticket. We'll need an intermediate page. I'll put here Mariam. Also working on related functionality. Let's refactor the name of Boolean after both of you have both of your PRs are merged. There you go. Okay. Bing bong, bing bong. So that brings us down to yes. So Nico, on so you've got the this is the loading the readmes for the project pages. So you now we've got a job there. Various things. We're always getting these schema differences. We don't know why. Seeds change slightly. There's a rate task for it. Project controller spec. It's a YAML file. Okay, here. So so you're now you've got the job thing running in VCR.
Yes.
And it's saving the thing, and it basically means that the VCR doesn't hit the the net.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if you go, for example, to one of the comments that I've done in the conversation part.
Conversation part. Sorry. Yes. Okay.
That error that you will see there, it is related to the GitHub commits shop that we have.
Right.
And I don't know why, but the thing is that VCR is like updating the cassette that we have for that specific spec.
Right.
And if you take a look, the only thing that is changing is it is failing, but because of the numbers that we have there. And if I update the numbers on the spec, that it will work. But I don't know why it's getting that updated.
Well, we've got. So this is where VCR gets complicated. It all depends upon the settings of the way in which we run it and when we run the cassettes. And so on.
Okay. The only thing that I changed, that I have changed, is I added the client ID and the client secret for GitHub in our settings. IMO, just because I was getting the too many hits. From GitHub. So by adding that, by creating my own app within GitHub and getting the credentials, I was able to just keep hitting the GitHub API. But maybe that is what...
thing. Yeah, so I mean that probably meant that it meant that the query to GitHub was ever so slightly different than the previous one that had been stored in the cassette. So that it then got that and it's now saved that and it's playing that one back. And I mean, whether it's a 401 or a 402, I don't think we really care. But so have you ended up checking the what are they called? The GitHub secret and token into the Git, or did you put them in the Travis?
No. Why?
I thought you said no. Here, yeah. So it's using the environment variables.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fantastic. But yeah, so I guess I think the simple fix for that, is just, I mean, we don't care if it's a 401 or 402, just check for the fact that it's a 400, that it starts with 40. The more, the more general issue for the project, and this is one of these situations where we say, well, it's working and it's fine, and we just let's go. We don't have that many resources. I mean, this is all spec. This is spec for jobs, and you were saying that the GitHub commits job spec already had a cassette in it. And
that is why I saw it and I say, okay, I don't have to fit
and that's been added there by Sampriti a very long time ago. I mean, and it's a perfectly reasonable. There's nothing wrong with it. RSpec can be used with VCR, totally fine. I guess the thing that it goes against the grain of the way that I think we use Cucumber and RSpec in particularly the way that it's used in the course, like the Agile development using Ruby on Rails, is that we have our acceptance tests in Cucumber and we have our kind of more of our unit and integration testing in RSpec. And I think I don't know particularly whether Sampriti was thinking about that one or the other. He was just like making it work. The thing that I promote is, like, as I was saying yesterday, in the like to my mind, to make it kind of this clear division between, okay, the Cucumbers are doing the acceptance testing and the RSpec's doing the unit testing, is that rather than stubbing at the network layer, which is what VCR is doing, that this kind of thing should be checking that just the outgoing message was sent correctly. Do you know what I mean? Like, or even like to make it a unit. The thing that we have now as a result of this is that effectively this is an acceptance test here. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's, you know, it creates the
You think so? Because yeah, we can discuss about it. But I've been reading, and it is a thing, like step between integration and unit tests. And the way I read that they make a separation of them is that if you don't go and hit third-party libraries, like for example third-party APIs, you are making a unit test. And if you go like and hit the API, you are making an integration test, and
right. That's
slower.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, ultimately there's no right or wrong here. There's just like words that people use and things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and what approach?
Describe it like that. I mean, we've got like third-party APIs, which in this case like includes GitHub, and there's kind of an idea, which is that no tests should ever hit third-party APIs over the network, because it's kind of like, it's like good, like basically if your tests are running and they're hitting third-party APIs over the network, then the problem is those third-party APIs might be down.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an external dependence. Like what we want from our tests is, you know, our tests need to be kind of like repeatable, dependable, you know, fast, and so on. And if we have a third-party dependency, then that's kind of a problem. I mean, it's interesting. You're saying it's like you were saying, like in an acceptance test, that you might actually hit a third-party API, and I think you.
No. What I was mentioning is, like with unit test, you will isolate the test, and you won't hit the API.
Yeah, well, certainly we can agree that unit tests are about isolated, you know, tests of functionality, right?
Yep.
I guess in this case, what we have with this, like if we're using VCR and RSpec, right? What we're testing, so let's we've got here, like say that we've got, this is the GitHub commits job, right? So we've got the code we wrote.
Yes.
Right. And if we're using VCR and RSpec, we're testing the code we wrote. There's OctaKit. We're testing OctaKit. And we're also testing the Ruby network layer. Right. So we're this at the very least this is an integration test. It's not a unit test, because it's not testing like a single unit, right? Of like, if we create the GitHub.
Well, yeah. If you put it that way, yes, yeah.
Right. So I would. I mean, I think if we call it a unit test, probably, or an acceptance test, that's kind of misleading. I guess for me, the place where so in an acceptance test, we're trying to test, to my mind, end to end. Right? It's trying to be as much of the system as possible.
Yes.
And so this is the place where I'd sort of expect VCR to be isolating us from like the third party APIs at the lowest level. I mean, the reality is sometimes
cool.
like the acceptance test, there's some services like Google Maps where I don't know, like they're so available, and it's so like I've spoken, for example, like Stripe. I've spoken to them about this and about totally sandboxing the tests so their things don't hit, and they kind of said to me, yeah, we're not too bothered. It's like I've sometimes promoted this as like a really strong rule, like that you're being a bad citizen if you're allowing your tests to hit the network. But there are, there's exceptions, I think, to that, and some people don't even care either way. But go on.
Well, one question just to clarify. Now I will create a acceptance test, and I can use the VCR that I already created for the Cucumber features, right?
You could do, although the way that we've got our Cucumber set up is that it will store the VCR in another place automatically, and you don't even need it. I mean, that's the particular thing about, like, if we use VCR with RSpec like this, we have to kind of like specify the cassette name, and you have got to do all this manipulation, right? But as I was trying to say yesterday, if you're using Cucumber and VCR, all you do is you add VCR at the top of the thing, and it will save it's like the file will be saved in a place that's based on the name of the file, and you don't make any effort to work out where to do it.
And what do you want me to do with the RSpec test that is using the VCR now?
Well, that's an interesting question about what we do with it. I mean, I guess that I
don't have a problem if I have to remove it. I just want to understand.
Well, it's an interesting question, given that we've got a couple of them. And actually, Praveen's also joined us. Hello, Praveen. It's I mean, it's an interesting question about, and we've got a lot of people who are involved in the project here, about the way we want the project to. Ultimately, I'd love to have, in the README, I started to do it. I didn't get enough of them. I would love to have like more examples of what we think are the the way that we organize I had down here. There's like, so I started to create these like walkthroughs kind of saying, let's have this, we don't have view specs, this, that, and the other. I kind of need to do more of those. I should stop waffling. I mean, I would say in the first instance, just create, see if you can create the acceptance test. The interesting thing about what you can do with the acceptance test is that it can also, you can hit the rake task. Not the you can hit the rake task, not necessarily directly the where is it, like here in the test. Well, is this the test? It is the test. And this is the other person's test, but here this, like, it gets the class and it runs the class method on it, right? So this is so this becomes specifically an integration test because we're reaching into the code and we're firing something off on the object, and no user of the system would ever do this directly, would they? Only through some intermediate thing. If you look at some of the other stuff that we've got in the DevOps things, particularly the ones that I've written more recently, if I've written any of them more recently, I don't know. Maybe it's not there. Let's have a look. This is over in specs. If we go into features and we look at the DevOps features and we look at, for example, here. So we've got the at VCR there, and then we've got steps like when I run the rake task for fetching GitHub commits. So this is something that it's an admin user, but it's like an admin user might do from the command line. And so I'd argue that that's what makes this a true acceptance test, because it's like it's hitting all of the code that, all of the way down that the person would experience. So it's just maybe a trivial distinction, but so and I mean so I'd say definitely have a look at the DevOps tasks and
sure. I will
make a version of that. The question that we then have afterwards is, do we leave the VCR RSpec in place, or do we try and refactor these more to be unit tests where, and I'm not saying like do this. I think this is like a decision for us at a project level, particularly if we've got a few that they're using VCR or whatever. I mean, in my mind, it's like if you're, you know, if we restrict VCR to be using only with the Cucumber tests, then that kind of makes things simpler, right? It means that you know for certain, okay, I'm doing RSpec. That means I'm in the kind of unit and small integration test. I'm in the Cucumber. Okay, Cucumber, and Cucumber then has a naming scheme that is consistent and we can follow. I think the thing that I want to point to now, if I can find it, come on, brain, work brain, or we're in features. But if we go back into the app and into jobs and into, like, for example, the commit hubs jobs thing here. So when this runs, the point at which it reaches out to the point at which it reaches out to OctaKit is this client, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the same probably for you. Like, so if we're writing a unit test of GitHub commits job, what we could do, and this would be like this dependency injection, is that we would have here, like the initialize would have, client, and we might even, so rather than doing this or equals kind of thing, which is kind of, I don't know, there's other sort of weird stuff going on here that maybe this will be incorrect, but like in principle, you have the default thing specified here. So I take this and I do this, and then I stick client here, right? And so what that means is that by default, if I initialize, if I say new without any parameters, it will just be this. But for testing purposes, I can pass in a dummy object. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And then what that means is that I can test the GitHub commits job code, our code, completely in isolation from the OctaKit. And I can stub out the calls on the OctaKit, and I can kind of check what's the way in which GitHub commits job is talking to OctaKit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's a separate other sort of stuff, which is like, says like, don't stub what you don't own, which is another, I mean, there's all these like sort of sayings that you have. So like, don't stub what you don't own, because like the OctaKit interface, that might evolve, right? They might change it as they upgrade the gem for OctaKit and what have you. And then our very precise stubbing of the OctaKit gem might then end up not working and fail. I mean, there are things now in RSpec to check for the existence of methods and so on. But this is this other thing that the testing is supposed to do, is it's supposed to show us how integrated, like we've got this thing here, like if that's like really, really tightly knitted into OctaKit, then that's maybe not a good thing for us in the future. And so by so seeing the dependencies, then potentially we might start to make a facade that sits on top of OctaKit, which is like, okay, this is our OctaKit interface, and these are the one or two methods that we call on it. And it's all about kind of trying to encourage loose coupling between the objects in our system. It's a very long-term sort of thing when we're trying to deliver stuff to customers. But anyway, there. So I would say, don't worry about so that this is a possible thing that we could do. Don't have to do it. I think we can certainly discuss more in another session about refactoring those.
Cool.
The RSpec to be more like unit tests, and but yeah, have a go at hitting the rake task with one of the Cucumber.
Perfect. Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, and also we can create another issue, or another story if we want, in order to refactor both. Because
indeed. I mean, and it's
both rake stacks.
Absolutely. And I want to emphasize there, like this division to say, RSpec for the unit tests and Cucumber for the action tests, we don't have to do it that way. That's like a style. And we could say, we don't want that style. We could say, get rid of the Cucumber tests because they're too slow and do everything in RSpec. And, it's all open. Good stuff. So I think that's our after Scrum done. Praveen is also here. Praveen, are you blocked on anything?
No, Sam. So for website 1, I submitted the PR with the work for adding support for GDPR compliance.
Yeah, and I've responded to your comments.
Yeah,
we were talking about it earlier in the Scrum.
Yeah, so just a question. You're saying something about Cucumber test for this thing. So I'm not sure like it should be. So I have written the aspects.
Yes.
Should I also write the acceptances?
Yes, I would say. I mean, this is another, like, all of these the projects that we have from you know, like Website One, Local Support, they've kind of come from, you know, the back of the agile development using Ruby on Rails course, where the idea is we start off, we do this outside in development. So we start off by writing the Cucumber test, and then we drop down to write an RSpec unit test, and then we do the application. And it's a particular style of development. Now, of course, you know, everybody's working on their own in their own way, and so on, what have you. The kind of rule of thumb that I try and do is, like, you know, if it's user facing, you know, particularly user requested, then we have a Cucumber test. Because the idea is that we're trying to, like, develop the specification and documentation for what we want. So, like, we've got this issue of GDPR and the reasons why we want to do it, and so on, and that kind of needs to go into our top level documentation in Cucumber to give us a kind of English language description of why we're doing all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, if we look at, I mean, it would end up going in the users, and there would be, like, the sign up feature.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this is already quite long, so maybe it would be split out into a separate one. But the idea is that we can tie, you know, everything back to a high level feature, a high level story, and so on. We've also, I mean, certainly at the beginning of the project, we were very keen on having controller specs. I mean, I mentioned it in one of Mariam's questions. I've, you know, as from my experience in many more projects, I start to wonder if we get much value from controller specs. And from my point of view, the ideal pull request that I would see would just have a Cucumber acceptance test where we can see, you know, what it is that's happening at the high level, and that if we needed to create or adjust any of the you know, operations, what are they called, like internally, we would focus on writing specs for the models, the services, the jobs. We probably not worry about writing the controller specs. If it was me, that was the way I'd do it, and then, you know, and it would be sort of done in that sort of order. But that's a very specific style that tried to be presented in the gosh, what is it called, in the course, but I think many people, it's a difficult one to pick up, and it's kind of challenging to do. So you know, ultimately we're kind of under the gun that we have to release this, you know, GDPR thing in Europe by May 24th or something. So, you know, if there's no Cucumber test, there's no Cucumber test, and we need to kind of get it out.
No, I'll do it today only. So.
Yeah, I mean, if that's something that you can take on, I think that's fantastic.
That's the only thing left now. So
right,
after seeing your comments, that's the only thing.
Yeah, and I think what we can do, yeah, we'll look at these other issues in other tickets. But yeah, so yeah, great, fantastic, good to see everyone. Apologies, as always, that I'm far too long-winded. I guess I'll post these notes into
yes, please do.
channel. Very happy to talk about this more or maybe you could tell me, no, we don't want to hear about it anymore. Can you write a book, Sam, or some kind of short, like, you know, just like 15-page thing, and so we don't have to hear you talk about it again. But anyway, great to see you.
We could create like a podcast or something in order to discuss these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what that's might come up is that, you know, we might restart the Agile Book Club podcast, and these the kind of things. What I would so love to get to the point where, as I was showing in the README, that we had like 3 or 4 examples of this flow of starting with the user story, writing the Cucumber scenario, you know, writing a lower level spec if needed, and, you know, and then seeing the code. And so, like, there was the example here with these ones, but I think we need like a few of them to like show all the different situations that you're doing this. And if we could have kind of like a playbook for how people could approach things, I think that would be really helpful. Anyway, I better run for the next meeting. Great to see you all. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.